Following calls by the organized labor for a reversal of the electricity tariff for Band A customers to 225 naira per kilowatt hour from 68 naira per kilowatt hour on the 3rd of April, and a minor reduction by INEC to 206 naira per kilowatt hour, members of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress today moved to group activities in some distribution companies. In Lagos State, Labour members blocked the entrance of the headquarters of the Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company. Offices of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission located in Alausa, Ikeja, were also picketed by the union members, leaving workers stranded. Lagos State Chairperson of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Fumilayo Sesi, who led the union members, told TVC News that the action was in compliance with the directive of the Congress's National Secretariat. Labour leaders say the picketing exercise is aimed at forcing the authorities to reverse the recent hike in the country's electricity tariff. In Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the union members occupied the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Office in Ibadan, carrying various placards with inscriptions asking government to reverse the policy. The chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress in Oyo State, Kayode Martins, while addressing newsmen, decried the epileptic state of power supply in the state, adding that increasing electricity tariffs at this critical time is unnecessary given the current economic situation. The situation was the same in Osogbo, Osun State, where members of the Nigerian Labour Congress were led by the state chairman Abimbola Arakpashopo and his trade union counterpart Abimbola Fasasi to the IBEDC office there. They accused government of being insensitive to the plight of Nigerians. According to them, the current economic hardship arising from the removal of fuel subsidy should not be compounded with increase in electricity tariff, which they described as unbearable.
When we are not yet out of the suffering orchestrated by the movement of the fuel subsidy, we are now adding another burden onto our body. We are saying no to that as workers, and that is why we are here. We are making that statement now clear and bold enough. There is hardship everywhere in the country. It is high time for the Nigerians to know that it is high time for us to fight for our rights. It is high time for the federal government to know that people are suffering in the country. We say no to high or increase of electricity tariff in this country, period, and that's it.
Now to Ekiti State, the state chairman of the Trade Union Congress and secretary of Nigeria Labour Congress led the protest to the National Electricity Regulatory Commission in Ekiti State and Benin Electricity Distribution with a shutdown business activities. The Labour leader said the hardship being experienced by the Nigerian masses is unbearable and urged the President Bola Tinubu to reverse electricity hiking tariff.
Why we are here today is to say no to any increase in electricity tariff. Here in Ekiti, there is no community that can boast of 12 hours supply of electricity. But every household in this country should be given prepaid meter. But Disco technically and intentionally have not been doing this. And they know why. Because they want to oppress us, they want to charge us for services they are not supplying.
The NLC and TUC, as the voice of the voiceless, that's why we are out this morning to talk to federal government and its agencies and cronies, and to equally talk to Nigeria that we should all resist this move, that is the hike in electricity tariff by the federal government and its agencies.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Away from that, a meeting between the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, and chairmen and other leaders of political parties has ended at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. The meeting is the second this year and is coming barely 4 months to the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State in September. The national chairman of the APC, Labour Party, and Social Democratic Party are in attendance. The electoral umpire has already published the final list of candidates and their running mates for the governorship election in Edo State. INEC chairman urged the political parties to adhere strictly to all electoral guidelines for the exercise. He also asked parties in Edo State to finalize and submit names of their candidates before the 20th of May, when the portal for candidates in the forthcoming governorship election will close. Now, for more on this meeting, senior reporter Demola Lawrence is standing by in our Abuja studio. Demola, give us more updates from this meeting.
Yeah, so the INEC and, of course, the political parties leaders, while at the meeting, were able to talk about the next line of action ahead of the Edo governorship and Ondo governorship coming up respectively on the 21st, which is, of course, of September in Edo, and November 16th in Ondo State. INEC has said 794 officials, of course, will be trained for that particular exercise in general. But in looking at it from Edo to Ondo State, INEC has been able to tell the political parties that they must adhere to the rules and regulations of the game, which is, of course, making sure that all their supporters are in the whatever they are going to do are within the confines of the electoral law. One of the other things that the umpire was able to put out there is that by 20th of May, all parties must be able to submit their names, for the Ondo governorship election, unless when the portal will shut down and it will not be extended. INEC also made sure at the meeting, telling the political parties to continue educating their supporters in terms of what is needed during the election, pre-election, of course, during the election and post-election. And in reacting to that, the IPAC chairman also was able to tell the INEC chairman that it should keep to their own side of the bargain, of course, trying to make sure that elections are conducted in a free and fair manner. One of the things that the IPAC chairman also spoke about was the high cost of form by the different political parties, but they said they are also engaging the political parties on that particular one.
And it's interesting to see the INEC asking for collaboration from political parties in terms of voter education, which is what a lot of people have asked, to be done, that it has to include the party. I want you to speak more on that, and then how the parties reacted to that. And if there were issues also raised in terms of the pre-election matters that we saw. A lot of issues came up in some of the primaries of these political parties. Were those issues addressed, at that level or in that meeting? So,
first of all, let's talk about the voter registration. INEC has said that, despite the fact that they will do their own part, creating awareness for the continuous voters registration, and this time around is going to be manual. It's not going looking at the time frame. That's what INEC said. It's going to be manual. It's not going to be. You're not going to go to their website to do all of that. So, looking at that particular time, INEC is also telling the political parties to collaborate with them so that they can have a seamless transmission and, of course, a seamless collaboration, rather, between the two, so that all their supporters and, of course, the residents of Edo and Ondo states that will be going to that particular election will have every detail of what it takes to go into that particular election. And you also mentioned the issue of how what the pre-election matters. Of course, some issues are laid down, and INEC has told the political parties they must be able to get their acts together before the set date. First of all, May 20th, there must be a submission of names by Ondo State. So 18 political parties registered, contested at the primaries. So they must be able to submit the names of the governorship and the running mate before the end of May 20th, unless the portal will shut down and they will not be able to do that. And so all the primaries, all the pre-election matters need to be settled before they go into the proper election in Edo and, of course, Ondo State.
Thank you so much, Demola, for that update. Senior reporter Demola Lawrence, live for us there in Abuja. We're staying on electoral matters in Jigawa State. Participants at a one-day town hall meeting on electoral reforms have pledged to continue advocating for electoral reforms and hold leaders accountable for implementing them. Yusuf Issa was at the meeting.
Discussion on how to improve Nigerian Electoral Act for better democratic dispensation dominated the gathering. The event, which was organized by Parent Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, brought together citizens, civil society organizations, religious leaders, youth groups, political parties, and stakeholders who discuss and advocate for electoral reforms in Nigeria. According to Executive Director of the Center, Ezenwa Wagu, the lack of interest from major stakeholders is contributing to poor democratic dispensation in the country.
We're here to have this town hall, see how we can also get what the people think about, our elections generally, the constitutional model we are running, and see how we can fashion it into the current electoral amendment process that is going on, or also see how we can use it to influence the guidelines of INEC to improve future elections.
Some of the key aspects discussed by the stakeholders include voter registration, electoral laws, and the role of technology in elections. Contributions made by participants emphasize the need for quick reform to ensure credible, free and fair elections in Nigeria.
For our democracy to work, we have to identify who are stakeholders in the Nigerian project and make it valid that only them are allowed to vote.
We do this in three phases: pre-election activities, election activities, and post-election.
A communique outlining the citizens' demand will be presented to the relevant stakeholders, including the National Assembly and the Independent National Electoral Commission. Yusuf Issa, TVC News, Jigawa.
Watching TVC News at 1, we'll take a break and return with more stories. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. A reminder of our top stories. NLC, TUC picket distribution companies, NEC offices demand reversal of hike in electricity tariff for Band A customers. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu meets chairmen and leaders of political parties ahead elections in Edo, Ondo State. After Nigeria, Russian President Vladimir Putin removes long-standing allies Sergei Shoigu as defense minister, replaces him with economist Deputy Prime Minister Andrei Belousov. In sports, Toby Amushon sets a new track record in 100-meter hurdles, becomes world's fastest woman. To some developments in Rivers State, where political leaders in the state have threatened to resist any plan to demolish the House of Assembly quarters as a dispute between the lawmakers and Governor Siminalayi Fubara worsens. We have details in this report.
Members of the House of Representatives, local government chairmen and key figures from different political parties converged on the legislator's residence. This location has been a beehive of activity since Governor Fubara visited and suggested that the quarters may need to undergo renovation work. But the assembly members took the delegation on tour to show that there was no justifiable reason for that. If there is any truth to the rumors of plans to roll in the bulldozers, the lawmakers say it is politically motivated.
You see where they destroyed padlock and then in an unimaginable fashion a sitting governor of a state, one who is expected to uphold the sanctity of the constitution and all our laws. He broke into this place the way it is to break into people's houses in the night.
They also inspected the makeshift legislative chamber and facilities within and gave the structure a clean bill of health.
We have commissioned engineers to study and give us a report on the integrity of these structures. We have received the report. The report we have is that these structures have a lifespan of not less than 25 years. And we have on our own come out to also physically inspect the structures to cross-check that with the report we received.
This assembly premises is literally the best within this West African sub-region. If you look at this facility, show me any state that has something like this, as serene and as well put together. When you take it down, you need reverse money to build it back another time. What of the development we were promised will happen? So this is not the way to go.
With the demolition of the assembly complex in December 2023 and the fate of the residential quarters now hanging in the balance, there is concern that the independence of the legislature is threatened.
Promoting or projecting or proclaiming what he calls executive order to bring assembly into government house. In other words, you are not fusing the executive and the legislative arm in one. It is not done. It is not constitutional.
Members of the State Assembly led by Martin Amehule say they will continue to sit because no court of competent jurisdiction has declared their seats vacant.
We're staying in Rivers State, where a group known as Sim Media Volunteers has passed a vote of confidence on Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The youth body said despite the distraction caused by the political crisis, the governor is preparing to celebrate his first year in office with evidence of good governance. They called on persons behind the impeachment plot against the governor to desist from such plans because it threatens the peace of Rivers State.
We want to address sore losers of the inglorious October 30, 2023 impeachment plot against the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara GSSROS, to stop their callous, mischievous, and barefaced sabotage and evil against the government, against the governor and his government. We urge them to desist from every act of thuggery, banditry, and violence, as well as subtle connivance with the police to harass, intimidate, arrest, and incarcerate followers and supporters of Governor Fubara.
Well, back here in Lagos State, where the Federal Road Safety Corps has embarked on an audacious move, clamping down on articulated vehicles carrying animals and humans, as well as vehicles carrying fuel in jerry cans. Today, several trucks were arrested alongside their passengers for carrying animals from several states into Lagos. This stems from the fact that the Corps is worried over the increasing rate of road crashes involving overloaded trailers and lorries. The Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Daoud Abiu, had in March urged the commanders to go after articulated vehicles loaded with human beings and animals plying the highways. This arrest is just a few out of the many that have been apprehended.
Henceforth, any truck carrying goods and passengers and the men of the Federal Road Safety there are on the highway, they will be apprehended. So we are advising them to desist from this because recently a lot of lives have been lost as a result of this attitude or behavior. So we are calling on all motorists, most especially truck owners, to desist from that. Equally, we are also on a campaign of people carrying fuel in jerry cans in their vehicles.
Right, FRSC Lagos State Sector Commander Patrick Davo joins me live to talk about this development. Good to have you join us.
Absolutely.
So, for a lot, these are three issues. First of all, articulated vehicles carrying humans, then articulated vehicles carrying animals, and then vehicles carrying fuel in jerry cans. Yes. But I want to start with the articulated vehicles carrying animals. For a lot of people, they're wondering, why would you go after articulated vehicles carrying animals? I'm considering that, look, if you do that, that might lead to a shortage in meat and all of that.
The truth of the matter is this. Recently, we've had statistics of articulated vehicles carrying animals with humans on top of these trucks. What happens is that when a crash occurs, it might not be the crash itself that will lead to the loss of lives of these people, but probably those items, those animals too, in the vehicle could be responsible for the death of those people. So what the Corps is doing now is that it's a nationwide campaign directed by the Corps Marshal. And we have been asked to go out there to apprehend all vehicles articulated that are carrying both humans and animals in them.
So it is not just, sorry to interrupt you, it is not just vehicles, it is not articulated vehicles carrying animals, but those that are carrying animals and humans together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If the articulated vehicle is carrying only the animals, there's not much problem. The owners of the animals could join a bus and go with the vehicle. But when they load the animals, you see a lot of people on top of it. And when at the event of any crash, like I said, it becomes very, very hazardous. So we are out there to ask them, we are telling them to stop. If you must go, if you are the owner of the animals, you can join another vehicle and go with your animals. Just like other goods, like people, the other tankers or the other trailers loading goods.
It could be
people
rice,
sitting on top, it could be rice, it could be anything.
Right, but sorry to interrupt, I want to get to the human part, because that would be the one that is more interesting for people.
Yes. Because
people have reported, seeing vehicles, articulated vehicles, just carrying humans, a lot of humans in them. And for them, that has security implication. But this mostly, they say, happens at night. So how do you intend to deal with that?
Even all that, the articulated carrying vehicle carrying a lot of humans, we at times too, when we see them, we stop them, and they're also equally apprehended. But at night, Johnny, we don't walk in the night because we are not, we are not armed, so our safety is not guaranteed at night. Or in the daytime, when we see them, we apprehend them.
But if they then reverse it, because again, it's one thing to say we'll apprehend you during the day, but if they decide to now start coming at night, what then happens?
We have been talking about, we have been advising motorists not to embark on night journeys. That has been our campaign long before now. So we don't advocate night journeys. Anybody who does that is at his own risk, and anything could happen at night. So we don't advise drivers to even embark on night journeys in the first place.
Okay, so for the fuel in vehicles carrying fuel in jerry cans, sometimes that is necessitated by the situation of things. During the last food scarcity, a lot of petrol stations were not. In fact, they were hardly selling to cars. Some of them were selling to people with jerry cans because they wanted. As you are buying from jerry can, you are tipping them maybe 1,000 or 2,000 naira. And then sometimes there's also the generator at home, and so you buy, for your generator at home. Again, I want to get the rationale behind arresting vehicles with fuel carrying jerry cans carrying fuel.
Yes, the rationale behind this is that a lot of vehicles, most especially interstate bus transport, people moving from one state to the other, you see a lot of these buses carrying extra jerry cans of fuel in them. What we are saying here is that it is not good enough. For safety. For safety, because anything can happen. If there's a leakage from the jerry can and probably the exhaust, the fuel leaked and dropped on the exhaust, there could be outbreak of fire. And that means that all the lives in that vehicle is at the mercy of God. So we are not advising vehicles to carry jerry cans. And what we do when we stop you, and we see that you have jerry cans of fuel in your vehicle, we ask you to pour all the fuel inside your tank. If the tank cannot accommodate all, then you know how to dispose it. The FRC is not there to collect your jerry cans of fuel, but to ask you that you must go without it. It's either you refill your tank or you see any other person who needs it and you sell it to him, but you will not go with it. That is our campaign, and it's nationwide.
We've seen that you've made a lot of arrests already. We'll continue to follow this particular development and see how it progresses. Thank you so much for your time. Lagos State Sector Commander for the FRSC, Patrick Davil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, let's turn to other stories. Sunday concluded a visit of the Duke and Duchess of Success, a visit to Nigeria. Success visit to Nigeria, and their last stop was Lagos State, where they met Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the Lagos House Marina. A senior correspondent Adedoja Salama Deni reports.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Business lives on the fast.
Thanks for staying with us. We do apologize for that. Let's bring you that report again. Sunday concluded the visit of the Duke and Duchess of Success's visit to Nigeria. And their last stop was Lagos State, where they met Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the Lagos House Marina. Senior correspondent Adedoja Salama Deni reports. Then we'll bring you a business update after this report. Stay with us.
The visit to Lagos started from the airport, where the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan, were treated to cultural display. Later, they moved to the island, accompanied by the Chief of Defence Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa. They were received by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and other top government officials at the Lagos House Marina. They held their discussions behind a closed door. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are in Nigeria to promote their Invictus Games to encourage wounded soldiers and their families, as well as promote mental health. 15 minutes after, Governor Sanwo-Olu briefed the media about the significance of the royal visit to Lagos.
We're indeed happy for what they are doing, especially for our military men, conversations around mental illness, and how they can galvanize their various NGOs at ensuring that people that require those supports, both in military and in private, can seek those support. And the conversation around mental health issues, is also something that we all live around. And the denial, the stigmatization is out of our, it's out of one of the things that we've talked about. And more importantly, the Invictus game that Prince Harry is known for. At what point can we have it in Nigeria?
Lagos, being the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is important for the royals to visit. Queen Elizabeth II visited Nigeria and Lagos in particular in 1956 and 2003. King Charles III visited in 1990, 1999, 2006 and 2018 when he was the Prince of Wales. Now, Prince Harry and Meghan are the latest members of the British royal family to visit Nigeria and Lagos State in particular.
The Invictus Games was founded by Prince Harry in 2014 as an international multi-sport event for wounded, injured and sick servicemen and women, both serving and veterans, on what to achieve post-injury. The prince's visit might be brief, but the memory on soldiers wounded in battle will remain indelible on their minds for years to come. Adedoja Salama Deni, TVC News, Lagos.
You're still watching TVC News at 1. Let's turn attention to business now. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Exploration and Production Limited and Natural Oil Field Services Limited have announced the successful commencement of oil production of oil mining lease 13 in Akwa Ibom State. The Chief Corporate Communications Officer of NNPC Limited, Mr. Olufemi Shoneye, disclosed that the first oil flow from the oil mining lease 13 is a historic milestone in the partnership between NNPC Exploration and Production Limited and Natural Oil Field Services Limited, highlighting their dedication to driving growth and development in Nigeria's oil and gas sector, which remains a vital component of the nation's economy. It's a production which commenced on May 6 with 6,000 barrels of oil will ramp up to 40,000 barrels per day by May 27. For Nigeria, this will contribute to the country's efforts to increase its oil production capacity, which is crucial for meeting domestic energy needs and driving economic growth. NNPC Exploration and Production Limited is an NNPC Limited's flagship upstream subsidiary, while Natural Oil Field Services Limited is a subsidiary of Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company. Another story, the latest report published by the World Bank Africa Pulse indicates that Nigeria's revenue from the manufacturing export sector declined by 166% to 778.4 billion naira from 2 trillion naira in 2019. The report reveals that the trend since 2019 has recorded a significant decline to 960.7 billion naira attributed to COVID-19 in 2020, while a minor recovery was recorded in 2021 at 1.15 trillion naira. The global financial institution, however, blamed Nigeria's dwindling foreign trade on poor infrastructure and inefficient logistics, among others, as factors responsible for the decline. The bank report shows the cost of trade in Nigeria and Ethiopia is 4 to 5 times higher than what is obtained in the United States due to insecurity, higher transportation cost, topography, and poor road infrastructure. Now, the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Mr. Dayo Mobiriola, has affirmed his dedication to advancing the maritime sector's growth and prosperity. He made the assurance to stakeholders at an interactive session in Lagos. TVC News Senior Business Correspondent Ifonanya is a report.
During the interactive session, stakeholders emphasized the importance of empowering Nigerian ship owners, enhancing indigenous capacity, and activating the long-awaited cabotage vessel financing fund. Additionally, port and shipping operators urged for duty waivers on vessels acquired by Nigerians to foster healthy competition against foreign counterparts.
Dedication to capacity building, infrastructure development, and environmental protection will most definitely position Nigeria as a key player in the global maritime community. I'm talking about training seafarers, I'm talking about training engineers, I'm talking about training maritime businessmen, because you just don't train the technical people, you train the commercial people to be able to use ships and ports to create value in the economy.
The industry wants to see that affairs of the sector are effectively managed to ensure safe and clean waters, security, organization, and to facilitate business in the industry. The industry wants vessels regularly boarded and inspected, with breaches identified and sanctioned.
Responding to the stakeholders' concerns, the Director General underscored the event's purpose to engage with stakeholders and gather insights. He assured that his management team is committed to fulfilling the agency's mandates.
You can be rest assured that all these points that has been raised would be looked at, considered, and put into our strategy so that there will be a sustainable plan for the maritime sector. And we want that to be one that will be acceptable by the regulator as well as the practitioners.
The gathering attracted a diverse array of stakeholders, including former chief executives of the agency. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Senior advocate of
outside Nigeria now, Asian shares gain out a 15-month high today in a week where inflation figures could make or break hopes for earlier U.S. rate cut, while Chinese activity data will test optimism about a sustained recovery in the world's number 2 economy. The improved sentiment has helped lift Chinese blue chips to a 7-month high. The index was 0.1% weaker, with some sectors pressured by a report the White House was about to release details of new tariffs on Chinese goods. MSCI's Products Index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan trimmed up by 0.1% after rallying for 3 weeks straight. Japan's Nikkei slipped 0.3%, still saddled with speculation that further losses for the yen could lead the Bank of Japan to raise rates in the next few months. Euro Stoxx 50 futures added 0.1%, while FTSE futures dipped 0.2%. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures were both up around 0.1% after running last week as companies' earnings came in strong. The latest report shows that retail investors are pulling out of Europe's hedge fund industry, with assets under management shrinking to an 8-year low as higher interest rates and lagging performance send smaller investors elsewhere. According to Kepler Absolute Hedge, assets in alternative undertakings for collective investment in transferable securities funds in Europe contracted 3% to $236.3 billion at the end of March, compared to 0.4% decline in the previous 2 quarters. In the first 3 months of 2024, undertakings for collective investment in transferable securities funds average 2.9% return, compared with a 4.4% average by the wider hedge fund industry. Overall assets fell by $7.6 billion from alternative undertakings for collective investment in transferable securities funds in the first quarter, mostly from multi-strategy, macroeconomic, and deals-focused funds, while some hedge fund strategies like managed futures saw growth. According to the French presidency, Amazon and other companies, including GSK and Accenture, will announce investment worth billions as part of the country's annual Choose France event, which begins today. Amazon to invest more than 1.2 billion euros in its French operations and create more than 3,000 permanent jobs in the country. Amazon has invested more than 20 billion euros in its French operations since 2010 and employs more than 22,000 permanent employees across the cloud and online retail businesses, which is in addition to 2,000 jobs announced for 2024. A part of the investment will also be used to expand its logistics network to increase the speed of delivery and reduce carbon emission. And in the crude oil space, prices extended declines earlier today amid signs of weak fuel demand. And as comment from the U.S. Federal Reserve officials dampened hopes of interest rate cuts, which could slow growth and crimp energy use in the world's biggest economy, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to sell at $70.27 per barrel, with an upward price margin of 0.01%. Brent crude futures also experienced a price decline of 0.02%, selling at $82.77 per barrel. And Bonnie Light also recorded a downward price review of 0.37%, selling at $84.11 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are offering $84.30 per barrel, with an upward price margin of 0.84%. Well, that's it for business. Next is sport. Please stay with us.